What's up, tech bros? And if you're one of the three girls that watches this channel, hi. So there's a pattern I think a good chunk of this channel will fall into. Not all of them, but a good chunk, which is being better at programming than you are at school. I know for me, I was only okay at school. I'm going to like a mid-tier at best university. And the reason is I'm just more interested in programming. All through like high school and stuff, there are a lot of classes and college too that I think are just kind of bullshit, and like I just have a hard time gaming that system. I know the right thing to do. Well, I didn't realize it back in high school. If I wanted to get into a really prestigious university, it's like just metagame the system and like talk to every teacher and like social engineer them into giving me all straight A's, and then like grind for the SAT, which is like no harder, probably much easier actually than just grinding for doing leak code. But all that kind of stuff, all that academic metagaming, I just couldn't motivate it. Um, it was just very difficult for me at the time to find that motivation because I was more interested in programming. And I know actually a lot of other people like that. Some of the smartest people I know just kind of suck at school, but they're like amazing programmers, or they're really into math, or I don't know, they're great musicians. They have some other skill outside of school. I particularly found studying the English section of the SAT like so intolerable. The math section was fine. Math is like the was my best subject in school because I felt it was the most real. But the English section, not that I have a problem with English exactly. There are some great books that have been written, obviously, but the English section on the SAT is just so inane. It's like so, oh God, it's just so like dull and specific, and it's like it doesn't feel like there's any like literary theory or depth to it at all, or that it's like meaningful at all. It's like read this incredibly boring, dry, technical passage and then like regurgitate 5 lines from it. It's like this mini game that's like not actually really related to knowing stuff and being smart. It's like just do this busy work for us and then we'll let you into these prestigious universities. And I've talked to a couple different people about prestigious universities. I know a bunch of my friends from Vanderbilt. I've talked to them about it. I've talked to a couple guys from MIT. Um, I don't. I actually don't think I know anyone from Harvard. I know a couple Stanford guys though, and the consensus across the board is that it's actually not necessarily all the smartest people that end up at very prestigious universities. The MIT guy said it's people who are very specialized that end up at these universities that are just like really honed in on one skill, got really good at it, math Olympiad kids or something, and that makes sense. Um, that's not to say they're not smart at all, but this guy said some of his smartest friends ended up at state schools, and it's because they couldn't really tolerate some of the bullshit that comes with the system, which is really interesting. And then a couple of the Stanford guys I know say that it's turned into a complete mess. And I've heard Harvard is actually like this too, where it's all like a show of fake prestige, and the actual learning and work that's going on there is almost all like cheating GPT, people just like not caring about the knowledge. And there's a bunch of articles you can read about Harvard students like skipping class for months, and just getting all A's because they get A's. That's what they get. They're Harvard students. The professors don't want to fail these kids because their parents are super rich and have donated a bunch of money. And if you fail a kid out of Harvard, then oh no, like big consequences for you, the professor. You're not getting that to happen. So there's a kind of theory there. Now, is that the case all across the board, or all these Ivies like actually just really dumb? No, not at all. I don't think so. Someone told me a theory that once once these old money schools started getting out competed by the new schools, or newer at the time, like MIT and Caltech, they they started to admit certain students in addition to just these really rich kids. And they're looking for a certain type of very desperate student, and every school allegedly has this kind of admission where it's a kid who has a really good academic track record, but their background, they're like either abused, or like they're very poor, or they have some kind of negative conditions they're escaping. And those kids like build the reputation of the university because they go off and do great things because they're super driven and ambitious. Whereas the kids whose parents like did something, just have a bunch of wealth, they get into these prestigious universities like Harvard, and they pay the bills, they can pay the tuition, they can keep donating to Harvard, increasing its endowment. But those students, they don't really matter to Harvard. They don't actually really care how educated these students are. It's kind of fine that they blow off classes all the time. Um, and yeah, so that's one thing I've heard about prestigious universities. Is that entirely true across all universities? No. I think obviously it's reality is very complex, and it's you can't just make broad sweeping statements about how things are. But if you're thinking like, oh man, I'll never be insanely good at programming, I'll never be insanely good at my field because I didn't get into Harvard or Stanford or MIT, I wouldn't think that. I think if you believe that, then it will be the case. But that's like it's like a learned helplessness, self perpetuating. Like if you think that you can never be as good as someone who has an education there, you're gonna cap yourself out. You're gonna subconsciously start limiting your own abilities. And that kind of leads into my next point about school, which is that there's this kind of weird, in my opinion, social manipulation going on with school, which is where there's this idea that you cannot learn on your own at a certain rate. It's just like, it's just not done. You get your education from college. Um, and in order to know how to do a complex thing, in order to understand complex psychology or biology, you have to go to school and you have to spend I don't know, 6 months in a semester, and you have to read the textbook, and you have to have the professor, and you have to be in this environment where it's one and many students, and you're studying periodically to take exams. But if you're a programmer, you know from experience that that's not the case. And if you want to, you can actually learn much deeper and much faster about how things work than school will teach you. And I don't consider it like brainwashing, but I think there's this certain attitude that many of the fellow students I have are stuck in, which is you can't actually learn faster than the school system, which is just absurd. You can go so much faster and so much deeper than school offers you, but it's like a weird kind of it's a weird mental barrier where people think it's like just not possible. And I think this is one of the real dangers of those kids at Harvard, the rich kids who are going to succeed in life because they have all these connections, they have all this nepotism. They're going to get out of Harvard, they didn't pay attention at all, they just cruised through it, or Stanford, they cheated on everything with GPT, but it says Stanford on their resume. And the entrenched connections and connotation of that degree are still good enough that they'll get a good job, but they'll be doing some kind of like white collar nonsense that's actually nothing in the world, and it's not that hard. But they have this idea that the Harvard education is like the maxed out academic achievement. They're the smartest people in society. There is nothing higher than that. But it's all like a cleverly crafted illusion by Harvard to keep maintaining a good pool of subservient donors. And actually, most colleges are like this too, where you can break through the ceiling of what they teach you and just learn way more on your own. There is nothing stopping you from just getting a textbook yourself, and instead of using their textbooks that they give you, um, research what the best textbook is. There's this entire racket of like textbook selling in academia, because academia has turned into like just a corporate slop fest, in my opinion. It just there's so many grifts and scams. Like, why is there a new textbook edition that costs several $100s every year? Why are like there 20 companies profiting off that grift? Shouldn't we have just like had one really good textbook back in the day that is the gold standard and that everyone follows? That's actually the case if you go and you look on YouTube and you find someone who actually cares about math, and you go like the math source for instance, there is like textbooks he recommends that have not changed for years and years and years. Um, but school just continues to peddle new textbooks every year because it's just a profit racket. That's all it is. It's a company to support a bunch of people in society. But so if you get rid of the $100 e-textbook Pearson education platform nonsense that they give you, and you go and you research the best textbook and you learn on your own, you can just cover way more ground than you could otherwise. And the interesting thing is it's like a mindset thing that is difficult to have because starting off learning something on your own like pure math is very difficult. It's there's no trivial task to it, and what school offers is like a structure, a schedule to it, which is admittedly a very helpful thing. It's a very helpful invention, and honestly, I think there's a lot of benefit to school. It's like got a bunch of social development opportunities and whatnot that are still very valuable. What I think is less valuable is the pace is kind of constrained to the slowest students because they don't want people dropping out or failing because that means less tuition paid to the endowment of the university, and the tuition is now outrageously high. So they want to keep things nice and slow and nice and easy, and that way they're not losing out on profit margin. But you can go way ahead of your university very easily. Now, I dropped out initially. I don't think that was the right choice because what university also allows you to do is just chill out and have like a part-time job. It's like it covers your adulthood complexities. Like you can just coast through university, even if the classes suck, even if most of them are bad. Go and talk to the professors all the time. Make the best of it. You have access to their library and a bunch of university resources. Use those. Don't just like coast through it though and hope that it'll be a good education because it's gone down to lowest common denominator like garbage, honestly. Like a lot of the educated material. Um, and yeah, there's what else is I gonna say? Oh yeah. So there's the kind of perception that everyone has at a university. You can't really go faster than these classes. You can't. This stuff is so hard to learn on your own. And initially, it can be like the learning pure math on your own. But as you progress and as you build the skills to study on your own, and as you build the discipline to just read the hard books and look up definitions, it becomes easier and easier to do. And the school, like, I suspect they don't love that. I mean, this is like conspiracy theory stuff. I don't know how true this is, but if you could just like have the discipline to read a ton of books on your own, that would kind of put them out of business because once you start reading a certain amount, you'll realize how inane a lot of the classes are and how utterly useless and how like what it seems like is school is kind of being college, I mean, is kind of cannibalized for the private sector, for industry. It's kind of become just a mill of new workers, and the quality of those workers is going down and down and down. It's like if you look at administrative bloat too, there's a school that has like I think it's a prestigious one too. It's Dartmouth maybe has like reached a point where there are like more administrators than there are um, actual professors and stuff, and it's so much bureaucratic red tape and so much nonsense. It's become just like a bloated company, and the professors are like last twinkling stars of knowledge that are about to go out because they're so fed up with. And actually, this is the experience too at my university, and I luckily like have some inside connections to professors like my dad, and he's in a department, classics, which is study of Greek and Latin and stuff, which is getting just like destroyed by the university because it's not profitable for them because it doesn't churn out like it doesn't not a big enough program to justify the cost, even if they have like their own endowment that pays for things. So their like grad program is getting shut down. They're losing out on that just because it's like school is operating like a company. It doesn't matter that it's this important field, important knowledge to have in the world. It's just like getting axed. But you also see lots of other professors. That's just my personal case. There are lots of other professors who are completely like burnt out and disillusioned and miserable with the whole system because it's like they have to teach these brain dead classes to like huge swaths of people that barely care, that are just there for the classic college experience. And yeah, they'll never really be interested in what the professor is doing, and they have too much ego to realize what a gem the professor is of knowledge and worldly wisdom, and they're just like letting it all slip. And yeah, so if you're good at programming and bad at school, I don't think there's actually anything wrong with that. I honestly think it's a natural response to be averse to the bullshit. And if you're good at gaming the bullshit, if you're good at engineering all your teachers into giving you straight A's, and if you really like were good at grinding the SAT, and maybe I'm wrong about the SAT or ACT. I don't know. I don't know. If you're good at getting into a prestigious school, also no hate to you. Um, Good on you for being able to get through that. I really found it like a bunch of. But yeah, honestly, what I think is you should try to scrape the last of the stars of the professors, like scrape the barrel of that knowledge before the disgusting, churning bureaucracy just completely takes these professors out. Maybe this isn't the case across the board. I think prestigious universities in overseas in England, like Cambridge and stuff, are still kind of legit. And there's still a lot of legit academia that's good, but yeah, a lot of it is bad, and I think it's not adequately catering to people that are interested in. I don't know. What I've seen a pattern is like people that are very very driven to be good at computer science. I know now a good amount of people at my university who are like above the average, and it's not it's not the best experience for them. And if you feel that a lot of your school is performative and fake, and people are riding on the reputation or just don't care, you're not alone. There are people at every school that feel like that. I'm starting to realize there's a good amount of them. Um, and yeah, hopefully we can turn this generation around, start reading some actual stuff, and not be held down by this perception that you can't go any faster than this system we've constructed.